one of the co-founders is Dima. We studied together in the same university in Dnipro in Ukraine. And basically, he has a background in product and design. He worked in companies like Jubal and Ask.fm as a product manager, scaled like recommendation systems used by over 10 million people. So has lots of experience in product. And then he studied design in London, and this is where he lives right now. Then our CTO, Alex, he has experience. Basically, he worked for over 6 years at Wix.com. When they opened their office in Kyiv, he was one of the first employees, then scaled it, and then he joined us, basically as a co-founder, as technical co-founder. And when it comes to me, most of my background is in sales and recruitment. So I worked at companies, first in Warsaw in Poland. I studied there at the company called Cadility. There I work across sales and recruitment. And then I joined N26, which is a mobile bank in Berlin. It's like a monobank in Ukraine, but mostly for German and European market. So there I was leading technical hiring, and basically, that's our experience. And then after working in recruitment, and when Dima worked as a product manager, we kind of both quit our jobs and started our first business, which was a recruitment staffing agency. We're hiring engineers across companies in Europe. So it was like around 5 years ago when we started the first business, and that kind of experience led us to create Bluedot.
Sounds really amazing, as you have a very diverse team and you've made the business together. So from what I hear from our founders and co-founders, they already worked with these people. They already did a lot of projects together. So it makes the product successful and the startup successful as well, because you already know the working patterns and a lot of this stuff. However, there are different cases. So it's your case. And how did the idea of this project originate and how it evolved? Because obviously, right now we have a lot of different trends on the market to make this AI note-taking in different ways. Different huge players such as Apple, such as WhatsApp and other products, they are using this. So tell us more about this idea and how it evolved.
So basically, as I said, like we had this agency with Dima that was our first business, and like we scaled it at a certain point to like 15 consultants. We had people mostly in Ukraine, a few in Europe and in South America, and we always kind of had challenge with documenting information during the client calls or the hiring recruitment calls. And people never kind of had time. I know they were either lazy. I'm lazy as well, like taking notes all the time, and like lots of people are lazy as well in terms of that, like updating CRM. And we tried different tools on the market. We saw that none of them kind of really served the needs. And it was it was like 3 years ago when we first kind of had the idea. There was no like OpenAI and ChatGPT to really like automate notes well. So we tried different models. We were playing around with the idea, and then around, I would say 2.5 years ago is when, like, first of all, our agency started going down, and we thought, okay, like we really want to build a product. We want to scale something, because agency didn't really. It's hard to scale agency business overall, but the recruitment agency in particular. And that's when we started like working on Bluedot, like first iterations. We had MVP. We mostly invested our own money. Then we like launched kind of first MVP, raised a little bit from angels, and initially our idea was different. So initially we wanted to target like enterprises, and we wanted to build like a one unified place for all of your company-wide meetings. So you get the transcription. Summaries were not even like a big part of it. Initially it was like about, hey, let's collect all the recordings that you have, because of the COVID. Everyone started like doing meetings online, so companies are recording. So let's make this whole experience of like recording, finding information, transcribing faster, and that's how we started. But then, I wouldn't say quickly, because it took us time to build the first prototype, first version. But it took us around, I would say, like a year to realize that the first hypothesis wasn't right, because we couldn't really sell it to enterprises. And that's when we started like building, let's say, second version, what you see right now, which is different. And I can elaborate on that more, unless you have more questions, so I can
Yeah,
continue.
please do. So we would love to understand the milestones, how you developed. So you had an initial version, then you understand that this is not sellable to corporations, and then you started thinking of the other version.
Yeah, so basically, initially we were trying to sell to corporations, and we realized it's hard, and we tried to sell it to not only corporations but to any. So our idea was that we would sell it to like remote engineering teams first. So we were like trying to find engineering managers or like engineering leaders in remote companies. They kind of liked the idea initially, and they were saying like, yeah, when it's like live, send it us to link. So we were like, we made this first mistake of trusting people saying how cool is the product, but like when we already had the first prototype, that well, it's not prototype, it was like a working version that was solving the problem that we initially discussed. All these people that we had on our like waiting list and our Slack channel, all of that turned out to be not real because they didn't want to pay, and they were like coming up with reasons why not to continue, like, oh, if you would add this would be cool. And like it was so frustrating. It's like one of the let's say mistakes I think lots of founders do, not only us, and something I would recommend anyone is like try to validate the idea with the first payment as fast as possible. Like don't really trust all this hey, this is cool product, like of course I would try it, we would trial it, like all of that isn't worth a penny. Like you because unless I mean you raise lots of money and you don't care about revenue. We didn't raise a lot, so we really had to get profitable and make money as fast as possible. So we made this mistake. We burned through our personal funds, and we fortunately raised from some angels. We got to Google for startups. They invested in us, and that's when we did the pivot. And instead of building this enterprise top-down sales-led kind of product, we created a Chrome extension that is easy to use. It's easy to install. You can get the value immediately, not like before we had to onboard, show everything. And we basically launched the product on Product Hunt. We gave it to people from our network to try, and that's when we saw, okay, people are interested. So instead of giving free version to everyone, because lots of products in our niche, they have like a free version, because we wanted to be profitable as fast as possible and not rely on investors' money, we created like the free trial. You can record up to 5 recordings, and after that you have to pay. And people just love the tool. I can tell more why they love the tool, but eventually like people started paying. We saw the validation. We got to first $100 per month, which was like, it felt amazing after a year of having nothing. And then like another than 1,000, then 10,000, and we are basically growing every month like double digits. So yeah.
Do I understand it correctly that you changed the business model from the enterprise to B2C model, where people can work on that? Okay, awesome. And can you tell the approach to this go-to-market and to the sales which you use right now? Do you use the paid marketing, or you use the recommendation engine, or you somehow build the growth engine inside the product? How it works for you?
So I would say like that initially our like everything we were doing was manual. So I would reach out to people from network to Slack channels. Was like trying to give everyone the opportunity to try the product, and some of them liked it and started using, because the product is kind of like inherently viral, because you record something, then you share it with your colleagues, people get to know. So I would say that like majority of our leads, of our customers, are coming through word of mouth. Like and I know that because when I reach out to a lot of our customers, even now when we have like lots of them, I still reach out each time someone signs up or someone pays, and like asking, how did you learn about us? And majority of people are saying, hey, my colleague use it, or like I'm part of this community, someone recommended. So lots of recommendation. And that's the first. Like second is like not paid ads, but collaboration with the newsletters, with creators. That's something we've been doing from the beginning, and that's something that I wouldn't say that now it's the biggest part of our growth, but at the beginning it definitely boosted. So there are lots of newsletters right now. It became so popular, like everyone started a newsletter, and we found newsletters in AI niche and like productivity niche. And we first initially, like I was manually trying to find newsletters, reach out to the creators, offer partnership. We pay them fixed price. They mention us in their newsletter. But then we found a platform called Passion Fruit. Guys from Berlin, I know the founders, like they're doing really good tool, which basically aggregates. It's like a marketplace where you can connect with creators, or like newsletter. Like they're different creators. Like you can pay for LinkedIn post, for newsletter post, whatever. And at some point, we're like sponsoring like 10 newsletters per month, which is not expensive because some of them like they charge $100, $150, but you pay like $100. You have to negotiate a lot, but you pay $100, and then they, for example, send information about you to like 10,000 of their subscribers. From this 10,000, 5,000 will read, 100, 150 will click and check the tool.
So I will start with myself. By my background, I'm a scientist, bioinformatician, strong track of records within the biomedical field for both lab processing and data analysis. And it's kind of my biggest inspiration of my life. So at some point, I decided to convert this passion and the scientific interest into the commercial sphere. And that's how we found Apixmed together with two amazing technical specialists, Evgeny and Andriy. So basically, our team in the co-founder level consists of the strong biomedical expertise, advanced skills in the software development, and also infrastructure deployment for complex solutions such as knowledge systems and some complex algorithms for big data processing.
Oh, wow. That sounds really cool. And may I just dive deeper into your experience of founding the company? So you are a scientist and you were working in fundamental science or practical one?
Fundamental mostly.
And this is kind of an amazing case. When you decided to, like start your own business, what inspired you? Which moment in your life defined this thing that you said that, no, I want to go with a business role right now?
It's an interesting recap because with my first semi-commercial experience, I started when I was on my bachelor studies in Ukraine. And it was one of the projects which was a winning idea of the Falling Walls Conference. It's one of the biggest conference for innovations in Europe. And basically it started, and all of this entrepreneurship spirit started from that point, which was, I think, in 2017 or so. So basically I was young and also already attracted by the idea that scientific research can be translated into some industrial cases or commercial services for the best of usage from the audience as well. So after several iterations and trials with my own ideas, Apixmed started. So basically with this, all of the entrepreneurial mindset in combination with science and the scientific perspective, I started kind of 8 years ago. So yeah, it's a track.
Wow. And where did you meet your co-founders and how you decided to find like these specific people and them to your team?
So the moment the idea of Apixmed was created or appeared is actually the crucial moment of everyone's life, I believe, because it was at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's why we were all discussing with our teammates or friends all of the challenges that the population and world is facing right now. So at some point I was talking to a friend of mine, Evgeny, and we were kind of brainstorming that actually it's very disappointing that the medical system in general is not able to handle all of these challenges at the moment. There are several optimizations that we can provide in order to reduce this burden of this, the number of the patients as well as the optimized healthcare and disease treatment. So that's why we started with just a brainstorming idea, conceptualizing, sharing some ideas, because Evgeny has a strong experience in developing the medical software. So at that point, I was sharing my kind of scientific expertise, purely insights from the global trends and the point of view how it's done in Europe or how it's done in other countries and how it can be done in Ukraine in particular. And Evgeny was saying, actually we have some tools for that. So at that point we decided, let's try out to found Apixmed and see how it goes. And that's after that we realized that we need a third person to rely on in our little startup team, and that's how third co-founder joined us. But we knew each other from the student time, from the Kyiv Polytechnic University and some related stuff.
Wow. And who is responsible for what right now in your team? I mean, like in this C-level team?
In general, all of the main decisions are made jointly on this kind of democracy level. So basically to have some particular strong decision made, we have 3 out of 3 votes to be provided. But ideally, we share the responsibilities in the way that I'm taking over all of this visionary stuff, also the scientific development, the consideration and testing of the new approaches as well as new directions. I coordinate partially the product development in the way it is in between my and Evgeny's responsibilities. And out of two other co-founders, they both responsible for parts of the software infrastructure as well as backend and frontend. But Evgeny also, as the Ukrainian representative of our team, takes over all of the administration. So we share the responsibilities, and we try to not to take over too much outside our expertise. And we also do our best in order to facilitate the kind of onboarding of the service provider to cover some of the startup needs. So we do not try to do something we do not necessarily can do in general. So that's, I think, the benefit of our team, that we decided that we stick with our expertise and try to do as much as we can outside this. But if it takes too much of effort, we try not to dilute the focus and do things we do good, not take things that should be done. So that's kind of a long story short about us.
Wow, that sounds really amazing that you're focusing on your capabilities first, and then, like you're like an architect, not even like an architect, but a sculptor. You are like diminishing and everything else, which distracts your focus from what I'm hearing right now. And that's
true. That's what we try to do also. Yeah.
Yeah, a dedication. And how many people do you have apart from your founding team, and which functions do you have?
So basically our team is 7 people, considering people who work part-time with us and full-time. And also we have a wide list of advisors and people affiliated, like a partnership and other kind of team members, external team members. Most of the team members we have outside the C-level are in the R&D department. So they are shaping our solution from the scientific perspective, as also validating algorithms and finding new evidences to enhance and improve our current knowledge base. So mostly these are R&D people with some other technical or biomedical expertise.
Yeah, you're quite science-based startup. So
yeah, we are.
And I jumped into the team because I'm the person who is a pro team, and I believe that great teams can make great products happen. And let's right now get a little back and let's talk about the product itself, because of course you're working in the patient's data and protected storage of data, but let's talk about this in form of the industry you're operating in right now. As I understand, this is more close to precision medicine stuff, where you're getting the precision treatment and you're helping people to get this precision treatment. So correct me if I'm wrong here. And also let's talk in simple terms, what your startup is doing for people who are not that much into this industry. They're either from other industries or can be potential users of your startup.
Sure. So I think we are tackling the need of everyone. So basically, none of us wants to suffer from the adverse drug effects or some inefficient medical decision that the clinician can make for yourself. That is why what we do, we analyze the medical and genetic data of a patient, sometimes also some other biomarkers if this data is available, in order to reanalyze it from the expert view perspective and provide the feedback on how personalizable, how efficient, how safe is this treatment for you, and what can you do in order to increase the treatment efficiency in the way that it's sometimes some lifestyle interventions are needed, or some auxiliary testing like knowing your genes, which affect how you metabolize several drugs, is needed. So that's what we do. We indeed store and analyze medical data, but also we are able to process on this on the advanced level your genetic data if you have one, or point you to the need that you actually have to have your genetic data, because your condition and the treatment approach is relying on the efficiency of how well your genes metabolize something. So that is why we analyze medical and genomic data and provide you with informed decision in order what can you do. And knowing this, you can also understand that sometimes patients do not have that much right to make this decision. So we shape our solution for both patients, but also clinicians, in order to finally get the efficient treatment on both sides, from the compliance level and the decision-making level.
So does it mean that as a patient, with the help of your product, I can get more guided decision from my side, where I can make the decision, or I can ask questions to my medical, like to a doctor, where like, why are you doing this treatment? There is my data, kind of that stuff. And on the other side, there is a doctor who might have my medical data and I can have a second opinion on how to treat me better, and or not even a second opinion, but additional data which make the precision of the treatment for me.
Yes, indeed. So it's basically exactly these two directions that you just highlighted. So it's, as a patient, you get the guidelines on the how personalized, how good is your treatment, so it gives you safety, and also what exactly can you do to increase the treatment efficiency. So this one part. And for doctors, it is indeed a proof check and also the kind of fidelity check that actually this treatment is compliant to several guidelines, or the guideline he or she has been used to is up to date. So here's the new information that you may consider to provide a better treatment right here, right now. So yeah, and that's why we so far focus mostly on the clinicians, because indeed, as we started this discussion, that the personalized medicine and precision medicine is an emerging field, and there are not that many people who are actually fully understanding this concept and who are ready to apply this even on the clinician level. That is why we tackle the clinicians to like pioneer our solution in general trends of personalized medicine, and further we provide these insights to the patient as well, but as the second focus.
Like Mantis Analytics, it's a situation awareness and threat intelligence platform, like powered with AI, right? So basically, we help companies and government organizations like manage risks, both like physical and informational, using AI.
As far as I understood, so you as a team actually gathered as volunteers in March 2022 to probably be useful and, you know, utilize the expertise that you have. Can you share a little bit of background of that story?
We started as a startup like absolutely organically, right? Without any plan, because full invasion of Russia has been started. And you remember this like first months of shock and these questions that we asked everybody, like and each other, like and themselves, like how can I help in the following situation, right? And we decided to help with our experience, right? Because you know, our whole team has experience to building AI, data platform solution, data analysis, and so on. For example, I did that all my life, right? And like in parallel with the physical confrontation, like huge informational war has been started. You remember, like first weeks, like all the media like flooded with disinformation, with deepfake videos and so on. And we decided to help our government to be more resilient in the following situation using AI technologies. So in this case, we just started as a volunteer organization. We started to work with National Security Council of Ukraine, other like government institution, just with a main mission to help them be more resilient.
Yeah, probably one of the main points at early stage of startup is who are the co-founders, how long they work together, right? Can you also tell us a little bit of how you actually met your co-founders, whether you have some past work experience together, and how, you know, three of you actually collided to create Mantis Analytics?
Let's first of all, we have three co-founders. I'm Maxim as the CEO of the company. Astap, he is CTO of the company, and Anton, he is CMO and expertise lead in the company. So with Ostap, I think we met about 12 years ago or something like that, because we worked on the big project in the Deutsche Bank, just on fraud detection system, also using AI, and we worked like several years, so we know each other like very well. So in this case, just first candidate in mind for the CTO position, it was Stub, so I immediately invited him, and yeah, it's very cool that he immediately agreed on this like proposition. With Anton, we met at the beginning of previous year, because he was doing like some kind of similar media monitoring project about like mentions of Ukraine in Western media. So we connected with this project, and after that, we just understood that we're on the same page, and let's start to work together. And that's how the story like began between founders.
Yeah, right. So basically, for you guys, you wanted to volunteer to help the country in the situation, to counter the disinformation in a way, right? And eventually you understood that we can make business of it, or start a startup based on the expertise, idea, and first early traction. Do you have a specific, point in time when you said, okay, now we are a startup doing business, not a group of volunteers?
Yeah, it's very interesting point, and I think it's a very actual point for the startup industry itself, especially startups which were like in the wartime, right? Because first years were like a lot of volunteer initiatives, but in some time you need to start some kind of transformation because you cannot be like volunteer forever. Like I think everybody is like understands that. Basically, such kind of point of transformation happened exactly in 1 year after like we started as a volunteer organization, and it were like several drivers for that. First of all, I think one of the drivers that I finished my previous work in previous startup, and after that I just started to think what to do next, and I just think, oh wow, like we have a like very good, powerful team. We have a great mission, which is very important because, frankly speaking, in our career, most of the places do not have like proper vision, right? Which can be easily communicate, right? But in case of Mantis Analytics, for me it was very simple just to communicate this mission. First of all, for myself, right? And also just I understood that the problem is relevant. I was sure about government, about our organization around government, that there is demand, but also I have some kind of hypothesis about corporate sectors that we can successfully scale, and such kind of factors. It was like enough for me just to say, okay, so our volunteer story, like, it's finished. From this point, we just started commercialization, and we started like transformation to the company.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe for investors, right, it is also very important to understand that it's not a pet project or a side project, or a volunteering project, but a potentially very sustainable and high growth business. And you actually closed an early pre-seed round with SaaS Ventures last year, and was announced just a couple of months ago. Maybe you can also shed a bit of light on the process behind that, how you approached, how you understood that you need investment, how you approach investors, and how quick in terms of timing was that negotiations with SaaS Ventures.
We are now on the close line of our, we name it as a safe round, right? Or we can name it as a pre-seed round. So totally we're raising about $500,000, and already we raised $185, and we have a commitment. We have a commitment for $300. So hopefully we will close our round soon. And now a little bit of insights of the fundraising process, because my background is product management. I spent almost all my life on a product management position, on head of product, on project management. But the main difference that when you like became a CEO, you start to have such kind of fundraising experience, because it's absolutely impossible to have it on a position like a product manager or head of product. And so it was absolutely new experience for me. And as a startup founder, I started from some kind of romantic phase, right? That, oh wow, we have absolutely cool startup. I will raise everything in 10 minutes, and so on and so on. But what I recognize is that fundraising is a really hard and routine work, right? So I cannot count how many calls with investors I did. I think it's more than several hundreds. for the last time period. So what I want to mention here and maybe suggest for early startup founders. So first of all, do everything not only on logical level, because we have some kind of frameworks, how to make a pitch, how to formalize your interaction and so on. Yeah, it's everything important, but also try to find some kind of resonation with your first investors and so on, because some things on the early stage are not fully logical, right? You just feel something after the call that is your investor, that is your person, because investment on early stage is mostly about believing in team, believing in mission, believing in something like that, because you cannot verify all the numbers and so on and so on. So in this case, such kind of early work on investment, for me, it's 50-50, 50 logical and 50 about emotional intelligence, like just understanding what do you feel for the every call and so on. And I'm happy that we found this resonation, and we are on the closing line on this our first round in very tough condition. We can say it's absolutely directly that now raising money for the early stage startup, especially in Ukraine, it's very tough job basically.
Yeah, I guess in general, doing business and doing a startup in such conditions is hard. It requires a lot of resilience and, not giving up. And especially fundraising, when you play a game, when you hear probably hundreds people say, no, I don't believe in the idea, or no, it's not for us, or no, there is a red flag of some kind, but still keeping that, in a way, passion, in a way, energy, in a way, resilience, to get to the level, then you start receiving, yes, we're in, we believe into that. We believe that that's an opportunity for us. So that's something that I we need to empathize in a way a lot to founders and to CEOs who spend hours and hours every day receiving no, and then finally having some interest from investors and taking the round. Can you probably tell a bit more on kind of your typical day in terms of fundraising, right? How much time it usually takes or took in general for the last, I assume, half a year or maybe a couple of months at least?
First of all, you need to structure process, and I'm trying to structure that as much as possible, because, as I say, mostly it's a routine process, right? And I don't think it's it's possible to fully automate that, but just to formalize as much as possible, it's very important. So. I'm using an SRM, so from the first day, right? And I suggest that to the all early stage founders to use CRM, because anyway, sometime you need to migrate, and as early you start, as better. The next, I think a lot of time I spend initially on this such kind of follow-up process, because what I recognize is that people now is overwhelming of communication. And sometimes you need to do several follow-ups just to get initial intro call and so on, and it's very important to be very personalized in such kind of follow-up. So in this case, I'm not sending some kind of similar messages. Always, I'm trying to find some kind of approach to person, find some personal trigger to connect with this person. So in this case, it's first of all some kind of outreach. The second, it's calls, and on the later stages, it's due diligence process. It's a creation of data rooms and so on. So I think last half of year I spent in average 2-3 hours per day for fundraising process.